What's good, family? I hope everybody is feeling well and, you know, life is not beating you up too bad and you actually woke up this morning with a smile and ready to meet your day. This thought occurred to me after a conversation I had with a homie last week, and he was sharing how he had fallen from grace. He had found himself in a situation where he was doing some things that just weren't right. And the issue that he had that hurt him more than his actual sin was a response from other Christians. Far too often, we find some Christians treating this walk like a game or like the TV show, for instance, Survivor. For those who are not able to meet the cut through religious activities, they don't dress the part, they don't speak the part, they don't live the part in their perception. They're kicked off of the Christian island. We're so quick to cast people off, to cast people out when they're not walking in a manner that we Christians feel they should be walking. We're quick to chunk up the deuces to folk who fall into sin, who are struggling with sin. We're quick to talk about gossip, backbite, all those negative things to Christians when they fall or are struggling with sins. Christians are the only group of people that seem to kill their wounded. We find ourselves in that situation often, and I think one of the issues with that, besides it being mean, cold, ignorant, and antichrist, not the antichrist, but antichrist against Christ, is it's inherited and given through the tradition of the teaching. There's a teaching that says if someone is sinning, they're no longer a Christian. We're not going to do the debate here on that, but here's what I want people to understand. There's a war going on in every Christian, okay? And I'm using Christian because I want this to reach everybody. There's a war taking place. Your greatest spiritual battle is not with the enemy. It's not with other people. It's not with other situations. Your greatest spiritual battle is with the folk that's in the reflection in your mirror. It's with you. It's something in each and every one of us that's called the flesh. And in your flesh resides nothing good at all. So when we begin to attack and castrate and cast out other folk and cut them off for their sin, we are forgetting that we ourselves are battling with certain things. It can be a mental thing. It can be bitterness. It can be unforgiveness. It can be lust. You got dudes who are, jerking off the pornography, secretly cheating on their girls. You got women who are struggling with all these different issues. But we forget that there is a war taking place within each of us. So before we are so quick to cut people off, let's make sure that we've done everything possible to try to restore them gently back to the faith. In your flesh, your flesh, and to describe your flesh, I would use the analogy of probably like a piece of fruit. You have the skin, which would be our skin. Then you have the meaty, juicy part of the fruit, which we like to eat. Then at the core, there's seeds. At our core, we are is your flesh, and in that place is where people's resides their struggles. When we see people who are battling with sin and dealing with sin, a lot of times they're having a flesh outbreak. Their flesh is in charge. Their spirit has been tampered down, pushed down, whatever the case may be. And their flesh is kicked up. And they're being fleshly with their mindset. They're being fleshly with their talk, their attitudes, their things. And the way to combat your flesh is to renew your mind. If you're somebody who's battling with self-esteem, you renew your mind by saying, okay, who does God say I am? If you are somebody who battles with lust, you begin to renew your mind with the thoughts of who God says you are. Renewing your mind is simply taking your thoughts and replacing them with the thoughts of God. And that is the way to crucify, mortify, and to kill your flesh, which is a battle for us daily. Now, some people have bigger flesh issues. Folks who are Christians who battle with lustful situations or addictions. A lot of times, those addictions are so hard for them to overcome because they have been feeding their flesh with this particular drug for so long. So when we go to minister or to talk or to counsel addicts, our response can't be or should not be, all you need is NA or AA. All NA and AA is a replacement for a person's addiction. Now you become, instead of the cross becoming your salvation, this meeting place becomes your salvation. And that's something we can talk about further. If you got questions, you can hit me up about that and the thoughts process on that. But remember grace when you're dealing with folk. Remember grace. Grace is unmerited favor in the church definition, but grace is you receiving the best when you deserve the worst. Receiving the best when you deserve the worst. Not earning the best when you deserve the worst, but getting the best when you deserve the worst. Think about ways in your life and your relationships with people